How you doing? You all right?
Yeah,
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm basking
Jay.
in the glory of a win. Happy days, man.
Lovely to hear. Really looking forward to our conversation. Obviously, talking about Stretford Paddock, formerly known as Full-Time Devils. So I'm looking forward to getting into that. But before we do, I need to obviously make a couple of advertisements and things like that. So I need to first thank our sponsors, Moss Bros. Good news about our sponsors there's a 15% discount, which will start on the 2nd of December. So you've been waiting for that for a while now, and now you'll be able to go and grab it. Good stuff. So Jay, let's get going. Obviously, you created something fantastic with Stretford Paddock. How did it come about? How did the concept come about? And kind of what was the initial idea that kind of built it to what it is now?
Well, originally it was Full-Time Devils, and I was one of the presenters. I just got asked. I used to blog about Manchester United. Anyone who doesn't know, Stretford Paddock is a Manchester United fan channel.
Yeah.
So I was one of the presenters. I used to blog about United, and they got in touch. They were starting this channel, a fan channel. This is before fan channels were really a thing. It was sort of one of the first ones, and they said, "Would you like to get involved and maybe do a little demo with us?" So I did one, and then they said, "Oh, would you like to be like a contributor, come on the channel now and again and talk about United?" So I did, and I did that for a few years on and off. And then about a year ago, well, about 6 months ago, during lockdown, me and some of the other presenters, Adam McCullough, Stephen House, and Joe Smith, we decided to try and buy the channel because we didn't own it. We just went on it.
Okay.
So we bought it. Put our money. We didn't have much money, but we managed to sort of get enough together. Bought it between us, so we could just run it the way we want to. It's completely fan owned, and then we give it a bit of a rebrand. So we changed the name from Full-Time Devils to Stretford Paddock, and then we've got like a studio in Manchester where we do most of our filming. We invite fans to come on, send us their videos. Obviously, at the moment, one of the main sort of staples of Full-Time Devils used to be interviewing fans after the game outside the stadiums, but we can't do that with lockdown and the pandemic. So we've been doing a lot of stuff via Zoom and Skype and StreamYard and all that stuff, speaking to fans like that. But it's it's a fan channel. It does what it says on the tin. It's owned by fans, it's for fans, and we get fans on. So we invite people to come on, share their opinions, give them a platform to air their views, and it's been going from strength to strength, and it's great to be involved in it. And the response we've had since we took it over has been a real positive one, because people don't tend to like change, so you're always wary. But the response has been great, so hopefully, we can keep going from strength to strength, and then eventually, when we get the fans back in the ground, because United obviously are still in the tier 3 or whatever it is, so there's no fans in Old Trafford. But once that changes and we get back to having fans in the ground, we'll be outside the grounds again, getting the fan reaction like we used to.
Yeah, I was going to say that must be something massive for you in terms of what you're missing, and you must be missing that feeling of being outside the grounds, hearing different opinions, voicing your opinions, that real kind of closeness to the team as well, I imagine, and watching games. We're all missing football at the moment.
It's bittersweet because it's like I love Marcus Rashford, more than most of my own kids, but when I seen him score that hat trick against Leipzig, it was bittersweet because it's like I'd have been there watching that in the flesh. When Anthony Martial got a hat trick last season, I'd have been there to see that, and I wasn't. So yes, you're chuffed when you're seeing these goals on the telly, but it's not the same. You want to be there. The last time I was in a stadium, we beat City 2-0. Scott McTominay, you remember that last-minute goal? The crowd, limbs all over the gaff, everyone going berserk. And you miss all that, and it feels like it's been a lot longer than 8 months or whatever it is. It feels like it's been years. So yes, I want to get back to speaking to people outside the ground and all that stuff. But more, I'm first and foremost, like you guys, I'm a football fan. I just want to get back to being in the ground, being amongst my mates, being able to get behind the team, because watching it on the TV, I know a lot of fans do that. I'm not knocking that at all. That's fine. But when you're used to going to the game, I'm season ticket holder, it's a big part of my life, and that's what I'm really missing. And I think, when you're watching it, and I can't be having them crowd noises on when I watch it on the telly. Get out of here with that. So you're watching it, and it's different because you can hear what the players are saying and stuff, but it's not the same. Is it? Even watching it on the telly is not the same without the crowd there.
No,
I think,
it's not.
It's almost like watching a training game at times.
Yeah, I'm totally with you there. It's a big miss. It's good that obviously for some teams now, Errol, They will be allowed fans back in the ground. It's almost the start of maybe going back to a little bit of normality. Are you looking forward to getting back to a game hopefully soon?
Well, for me, it's sort of like with the whole tier system, the closest game I'm going to probably get to go to, I'm not going to get to Old Trafford this season. So that's going to be a downer. So for me now, it looks like I'm going to now start going to my local clubs, which is Uxbridge or Harrow Borough, and watch them play instead and give money to those guys instead of the bigger clubs right now, because they need it more so now than ever.
Yeah.
So for myself, that's where I'll be taking myself every Sunday or Saturday to watch a game down there, because I think with the bigger clubs, especially in the Premier League, yes, we're massive fans of them, but at the same time, if we as sort of like supporters don't go and support our local clubs, football, like, it's going to die sooner or later, and it's going to be again the top 6 clubs that's surviving.
Yeah, agreed. That's a good point there, to be fair, Errol. Jay, have you managed to get to kind of your local team? I suppose the local teams, especially more in the non-league scene, have managed to kind of benefit, because while, when fans were allowed back in, it was at certain grounds, more people have tried to go get their football fix by going to their local team, which must be fantastic for them. Have you managed to kind of get to your local team?
Well, what's happened is one of the lads that I own the channel with, he started his own team. So he's got a team called Stretford Paddock FC, where a lot of the lads who are involved in the channel play for this team, and they're in non-league. They're like, when I say non-league, they're like the 15th tier of the pyramid or whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's like, no disrespect to them, because they've got some good players, but they're 2 steps away from playing like, the Red Lion or the Dog and Duck. So, I'm not going to pretend to you like this is like, like one promotion away from the league, because they're not.
Yeah.
But I went to see him in the first game. They played a team called Duckingfield, which is a team from Manchester, which is quite a good team. And the standard was good, and it was just being there at a game in the flesh, watching a game. And there was a few mates there, a few of the lads that were involved in the channel, watching it as well as playing. And it felt good. So, I haven't really been to many long league games. I went to that one. My local team does play. My lad plays for. He's only young. He only plays for like they do the train. They don't even have games, but he trains for my local team. So obviously I take it to football, which is good. But yeah, I mean, I'm all for you, Errol. It's a great thing, Carlo, what you're doing and supporting your local teams, because Manchester United can survive without fans for the next 10 years going to the ground. Of course they can. Teams that are in League One, League Two, non-league. That revenue, that's the difference between them existing and them not existing. We've had so many teams around the Northwest that have gone under lately. Bury, one of the most historic teams in the world. FA Cup winning team went under, no longer exists. Bolton nearly went under. Rochdale at one point, I think, were a little bit shaky. I think they're all right now. I think Wigan, who everyone thinks, FA Cup winners more recently, they were in the Premier League 10 years ago. They very nearly went under. They had some shenanigans going on, I think, there. So, these teams that, even historic big teams that we've been in the Premier League, have been challenging for trophies and stuff, they've struggled. So you can imagine how difficult it is if you're sort of non-league, top tier non-league or whatever, or League One and League Two. So, more power to you guys for going there and supporting them. And I think, I'm a bit of a hypocrite because I haven't really done it enough and I need to do more of it.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. It's tough times at the moment for those type of clubs. So I suppose it's good that people have managed to try and get down and help. You mentioned earlier, Jay, about obviously you bought the rights to your show and stuff like that. Has that made it a lot easier for you to kind of put out the content that you want now that you guys own it yourselves and you can kind of really plan and know where you want to go with it, I suppose?
100%, yeah, mate. You're spot on. I mean, one of the things that we had in the past was we'd have a say in it, but ultimately it wasn't ours. We didn't own it. So, if you're asked to do something or there's certain directions the channel are going in that you don't agree with, it's difficult to change that. Whereas now, we're football fans and we're United fans, and we know what we like to watch and the sort of things that we want to be involved in. So we can just do more of that content, And the great thing about starting almost afresh is you can try things, and if they don't work, they don't work. we've done various different videos and shows where you think, oh, this will be a great idea, everyone will love this, and like the comments are horrendous, and one man and his dog watching it, and they're like, what are you idiots doing? Why have you even done this? And then you'll have other things you'll try, and you'll think, all right, we'll give it a go, and the response is great. So it's that ability to just try different things and try and do the things that we like. We haven't got all the answers, but we're all United fans. We all have been on and around YouTube. We know what other fans sort of tend to like as well, and the feedback we've had. So yeah, you're right. It's just giving us that opportunity now to go with it. And like I always say, if you don't like what we do, or if you do like what we do, it's our fault. It's no one else's. Either way, there's no we can't say, oh, we didn't want to do that, but we're made to do it. No, it's our fault whether you like it or not.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, got you.
And you guys have built up, a massive following. It's a fantastic platform. How have you dealt with, people's comments? Because you mentioned them there. Everyone loves when you get a good comment, but how have you dealt with the comments, when they've not been so great sometimes, or they're more negative? How have you kind of dealt with that?
Well, if you go on the electoral roll, you can find people's addresses. I'm only joking. Listen, the way I look at trolling and negative comments and things like that, I've been asked this question loads of times, and I think it's a debate. And you're right to ask it. It's a good question. But the only person I can control when it comes to comments is me.
Yeah,
that's the only thing I can do, is make sure that I am not a troll. Make sure that I don't abuse people or say things that I regret or say things I shouldn't. And, it's easy for me to go in here and say, oh, I've been the victim of this, and I've had death threats, and I've had abuse, and my family's been abused. No, that's true. But then I ask, have I ever said something online that I wish I hadn't have? Have I ever commented or replied to something and think, you know what, you let yourself down there a little bit? And there's been times where, if I'm being brutally honest, I have. I look back over the years and I think, maybe, I could have been a bigger man there and not said that, or that wasn't really funny, that was a bit nasty or whatever. So I just try and make sure that I don't do those things. Yeah. I'm not that guy, and that's on camera as well. I'm not the guy making snarky comments or being personal about players, or people or whatever. And if I do get a negative comment, I'm not the guy that replies and tries to get personal back or whatever. And I think that's all you can do. I can't control what people say about me. I can't control what people say about the channel. Yes, we can moderate the comments, don't get me wrong, and I can block people or whatever. But the only thing I can really control is what I say. And I think if I try and make sure I'm doing the right thing on my end, then the rest is just water off a duck's back.
Yeah, I think that's great advice for people there as well. I 100% agree with it. I've had my own personal, not issues so to speak, but experiences with people's comments, and I think you're dead right. You kind of just have to understand that that's where they're at, and all you can do is worry about you. There's a good bit of advice there for people.
Good advice, yeah,
definitely. Errol, have you experienced any? Obviously, this is a new journey for you as well, so you'll start experiencing this stuff with the platform you're trying to build yourself.
Yeah, it is. It's again what Jay touched on as well. So this platform has only been going for 5 weeks now, and we've had good comments. We've had good negative comments, but like I said to the guys who's behind the scene, don't worry about it too much, because the point we've got and the problem we've got at the moment, we're brand new, so we have to every single week take the good points, take the bad points, and every good points we have, we use them, utilize them to our strength. All the negative we have, don't worry about it. Let's make it better.
Yeah, no, brilliant. Here's a question for people, because with lockdown, the first lockdown and the second one, there's been a lot more shows that have popped up, and people sort of trying to build something because they've had time at home and they're trying to use it in the right way. So, I think that's fantastic, because I've seen a lot more of these shows pop up. Ours is new as well and things like that. So a bit of advice. What do you think kind of would be 3 bits of advice that you would give to a similar kind of startup YouTube channel?
I mean, I started my own. We were talking off camera before, during lockdown, my friend messaged me and he's like, oh, you know what, you should start your own channel, Jay, because you do stuff on Stretford Paddock, and you should do your own one where it's just you, because some of the lads on Paddock, they have their own channels. And I said to my friend, me and him have done stuff for years. We've known each other for years, and he's a street poet. He does a radio show. And I said, well, why don't we do one together? And we're both United fans, and I thought, you know what, I don't just want to do another football channel. So we do like a politics one and news and current affairs and stuff. So when we started doing that, I was like, right, okay, this is a bit new for me, because I'm used to being a part of a channel that's quite big, or even when we took it over, it was already established. It already had several 100,000 subscribers. So we were starting this from scratch. So we just said, okay, how are we going to do this? So the first thing we thought, right, what we'll do is we'll just be honest about what we're doing. We're not going to perform or, I think this is what people want to hear, so I'm going to say this. Just be honest in what you're doing. Like, it doesn't matter whether you're doing football, fashion, whatever. If you're just being yourself and being honest, then I think that's the best way to be. Because I think if you're trying to be someone else or trying to just pander to the crowd, you're going to get found out, and it's going to be very difficult to keep that up. I think as well, again, we were talking off camera before. One thing that has helped me, I know people that have got YouTube channels and stuff, and collaborating works. Joining in with other people. If you've got friends or anyone who's got a channel or who's got a presence on socials or whatever, appearing as a guest on their channel or working with them or having them as a guest on yours can often help, because it just brings in that extra sort of viewers, because people who watch them will go, okay, I'll watch this now. And that's another thing, a bit of advice. And just, it sounds blindingly obvious, but just keep putting content out there, Keep doing it, man. No one's going to, if you're putting content out once a month, how many people are going to be able to see that? I know it's difficult. Listen, I've got 3 kids. I've just taken on this channel, and my missus has got her own business. Trust me, time is precious in our house. But and my friend Scotty, I do the channel with. He's got 3 kids. He does his own radio show. He's non-stop. But we always try and make it time at least once a week to do a podcast, to do a video. Because just keeping it going, keeping that regularity, and thinking, week in, week out, at least people are going to get there and they're going to say, you know what, I can go and check out the guys on the FTV, or they're going to be posting this week. I know on a Sunday I'm going to get that, or on a Tuesday or whatever. So just keep putting out as much content as you can without just putting it out for the sake of it. So not just going, okay, let's just stick a video out. Oh yeah, let's just talk about, I don't know, the pandemic for 5 minutes or whatever. You want to have that enthusiasm for it. But yeah, those are the 3 things I'd say. Just, be honest with yourself. Do it, for the right reasons. Collaborate where you can and put out as much content as you can.
That's fantastic advice. So we're getting more into the football now. So before we get to the Premier League, I've got a couple of football questions for you. First one is the most obvious one. Who do you think will win the Premier League this season?
Oh, mate. You know what, mate? I'm that guy, right? Seriously. I'm that guy that full time today is going, we're going to win the league, Now we've got Cavani and he started scoring. You know what? I think we'll win the league. But no, all joking aside. This league's wide open, This is the most wide open it's been since Leicester won. Genuinely, I think it's up for grabs. I said before the season started, I wouldn't be surprised if Chelsea surprised a lot of people. Purely because they spent a lot of money. Chelsea always win the league every sort of 6 or 7 years. They do, since Abramovich came in, or every 5 or 6 years, I think it is. My only sort of reservation is I'm not too sure whether Frank Lampard's got it in him. Now, Jose surprised a lot of people this season, and people are going, can Spurs sustain a title challenge? There's lots of ifs and buts. But I think they could, and I think, usually in his second season, Jose wins the title. United was the first time in his career that didn't happen. So don't count him out. And this pains me as a Manchester United fan. It really does. But even with their injuries, I just think Liverpool will probably do it again, I do. Yeah. I think they've just... I was hoping that Jota would come in and fail. I really was. But he's not. He's done the opposite. And I'm not a massive Roberto Firmino fan. And I think he's an improvement. And I think, okay, they've lost Van Dijk and they've lost, I always get them confused. Is it Gomez as well who's out for a little while?
Yeah. Gomez out.
Yeah. But they've just got, and I'm saying this with a real sort of feeling of sick in my stomach, but they've just got so much quality in that team that even losing a player like Van Dijk, who is, he's genuinely one of the best centre-backs around, even losing him, I think they can cope. And what's helped them as well is, if City were performing to the levels we were 2 seasons ago, it'd be City's, but they're not. City have lost, 5-6 games already this season? It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I'm already getting pelters. People will clip that up now. This is one thing you've got to be wary of. You'll get used to this. People clip up your things out of context and then put them on social media and say, do you remember when Jay from Stretford Paddock said Liverpool win the league and how good Van Dijk was? And then I'll get United fans saying, Jay, what's all this nonsense you've been spouting? We're unsubscribing.
Oh, brilliant.
Quality.
Errol, who do you think? I mean, we've not done a show together yet, so who do you think will win the Premier League?
Well, I've been saying it from the season kicked off. Jay touched on it a little bit, but I've got Spurs to win it. If Spurs don't win it, with Chelsea.
Nah, I can't have Spurs winning. I'm an Arsenal fan, and we're doing terribly at the moment. I cannot have Spurs winning. I'll never hear the end of it.
Yeah, I think, to be honest with you, with Spurs, and I honestly believe it as well, it's Chelsea. When Mourinho first started off at Chelsea, what was it? Ranieri built Chelsea to where Chelsea was. So he built them to a certain level, but he couldn't take them over to the next level. Jose came in and added about 4 or 5 players and took them to that level to win the league. Then he came to, obviously, United. Sorry, he went to Real Madrid, did the same thing. Went to Inter Milan, did the same thing. Went to Man United. Unfortunately, don't have a squad of players of his liking. So I don't believe he was backed enough by the owners. Now he's gone to Tottenham. Pochettino's done immensely great to what he had to work with. Jose's gone in, added 4 players. They're going to win the league.
Well, I honestly hope they don't, because like I said, I won't hear the end of it. That is for sure. That is for sure. Another question then. So, who do you think will get relegated, Jay?
Oh, do you know what, right? This is where I'm going to have to cheat a little bit, where I just have a look at the table quickly. Because I've embarrassed myself being asked this question before, where I've been caught out because it changes quite quickly. I'll be honest with you. I think, now you're looking at the table, yeah, you've got Sheffield United. I think they're in all sorts of trouble, but they need goals at Sheffield United. I watched them last night, and they had a few good chances. You know, like Ryan Brewster had a good chance. Musse, the lad, had a good chance. I forget the lad's name, the Scottish striker they've got. I don't think he scored in something like... Yeah, he's not scored in like 13... Not, sorry, I won't go to the other lad. He's not scored in something like... I can't remember. I don't even know what it is, but it's something ridiculous. In something like 13 games or whatever. They're just struggling for goals, so I think they're going to be in all sorts of trouble. I like Chris Wilder. I like what he's doing, but, you know, I can't see them getting out of it, to be honest. And it's a bit of a shame because I do like him, and I think he's a breath of fresh air in his interviews. Fulham, again, they're in all sorts of trouble. Burnley, I think Burnley and West Brom and Brighton, any of those 3, obviously, you think it's going to be one of them. If I had to pick the third one, I'm probably going to go with West Brom. I really would. I think Sean Dyche has got enough at Burnley. I think he might probably get out of it. And I think Brighton, again, they've been a little bit unlucky. I mean, listen, I'm obviously a United fan. They hit the post about 10 times against us, and then we score a winner after the final whistle. If that's not bad luck, man, I don't know what is. Do you know what I mean? Like, the game was finished. It was done. We drew, and then it carried on, and they lost. So I think Brighton will be okay. So yeah, I'm going to go with West Brom, Fulham, and Sheffield United. But sometimes you have that cavalier charge, don't you, towards the end of the season, where you know, you remember like when Leicester did it when they were about to get relegated, they won like 9 out of 10 games, or Sunderland won 7 out of 8 or whatever. It can happen. So you never know. But the teams I've said, unless something drastically changes, I think they're going to be in real trouble.
Yeah, Errol, who do you think? What's your 3?
Well, I've got something riding on this. Tottenham to win the league and Fulham to get relegated. Chelsea to win the league, West Brom to get relegated. So I'm going to say West Brom, Sheffield United, and Fulham.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to give you my 3. I'm going to go Burnley, Fulham, and I think I'm going to have to say, I think Sheffield United. I think that second season syndrome might just hit them hard.
Yeah.
I think it might hit them hard, for sure.
Quick one. Carly, there's a few questions for you.
Okay,
Yep. Can you see them?
Yeah,
they're popping up on the screen.
We've got some rival fans a couple of comments here. Some rival fans are so bitter. Even now they can pay Klopp and the lad respect and deserve LFC have had out of 14 players out injured. Yet not even 10 games in, yet we're joint top. That's from Stephen Balogun, who's a very avid Liverpool supporter. Been on the show a few times. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. All right, here we go. So just an England one before we get into kind of the games and the results. Do you think Gareth Southgate's the right guy to lead England to glory? What's your thoughts, Jay?
No. Listen, like, I'm not a massive England fan, yeah, I'll be honest with you, but I got caught up in the 2018 like World Cup fever. You know, I quite enjoyed it. You know, I watched all the games, and I want England to win the World Cup, but I'm not like, you know, one of those guys who sort of paints a St. George on his face and, you know, storms down at the games singing, you know, with St. George in my heart and all that sort of stuff. I'm not an ardent fan, but I want England to win, but I'm not like, you know, oh, you know, England are on, I've got to watch it. But I just felt like that World Cup run, and this is I'm going to upset a lot of people in your comments. I apologise in advance. This is sort of stuff that gets clipped, someone gets in trouble. But I just thought England, like, it was a little bit overrated. Like, let's have it right. Come on. Yeah. Panama, Tunisia, like Colombia without James Rodriguez on penalties. A very bang average Sweden team. And then the first Belgium beat us. Croatia beat us. Belgium beat us again. You know, I mean, yes, it was great and you got to a semi-final, but, you know, the first real test we had was Croatia, and we flopped. And we did. I'm sorry. And I think Gareth Southgate has to take a little bit of responsibility for that, because I think he's sort of dining out on it a little bit. You know, I remember Gareth Southgate at Middlesbrough when he got relegated and he got sacked. And at no point did I think to myself, there's a future England manager. So he gets the job basically just sort of because Sam Allardyce gets sacked and they're like, oh, who are we going to give it to? He's worked with the under-21s, let's give it him or whatever. Does it okay, you know, get to World Cup semi-final, it's great, but I think it flattered to deceive a little bit. And since then, you know, I've not seen anything that makes me think Gareth Southgate's got the motivational man management capabilities or the tactical nous to take this team above or beyond its capabilities. You know what I mean? I don't see it. I just think, to me, he's a very sort of 6 out of 10 manager. Comes across as a little bit boring, and I think that reflects his team. His team reflects his personality. Someone in your comments, I think, mentioned Jack Grealish. I think they're saying he's too ill-disciplined or whatever, but I just think that's a player that, you know, he should be starting every game. And there's other players as well that I think, I don't know, with Gareth Southgate, it doesn't excite me, that's all I can say.
Yeah, no, fully. I agree with you there. You know, I think England have some real frightening attacking prospects. I'm just not sure if he's almost attack-minded enough and risky enough to want to really try and go for games and maybe take teams kind of take the two teams with the attacking threat. We've got a lot of people calling for Grealish to be starting in main games. It's taken a while for him to kind of get his opportunity. And to be fair to him, he's been fantastic in it. So it'll be interesting to see how kind of England develop, that's for sure. What would you like to see, Errol, from an England team?
Not Gareth Southgate in charge. That'll be a starter. Again, same point Jay hit. So, Jay, I'm going to ask you a conflicting question here now.
Go on, brother.
So, if Gareth Southgate is sacked tomorrow from England, what club could you see him go to in the Premier League or even Championship? And I've got another part to play in this one. I'm playing Devil Advocate at the moment.
Well, for starters, I don't think any Premier League club would have him.
Okay.
If I'm being brutally honest. Because, you know, the only reason you bring in Gareth Southgate, is because you're struggling. Yeah? If you're going to bring him in, if say you got sacked tomorrow and a Premier League club gives him a chance, then it'd be one of the teams that are struggling. Do you see Gareth, let's just pick one out of the hat who's in the bottom three. Fulham, for example. Do you see Gareth Southgate going into Fulham and turning that season around for him?
Not one bit.
Or Sheffield United or Burnley or West Brom or any of them teams? You see him getting a response?
Not one bit.
You know what I mean? I think, you know, it's for me, you have to do maybe like go to the Championship, a mid-table Championship club, and prove himself. Because this is the crazy thing, yeah. He's an England manager who's got us to a World Cup semi-final. Yet for me, and this sounds crazy, and again, people be like, "What are you on about, Jay?" But to me, he's still unproven.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but he got relegated with Middlesbrough and then got sacked when they were in the Championship. I still think he's not like done his time almost. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like, I wasn't a big Sam Allardyce fan, but he put the hours in and had some achievements where you can go, okay, maybe not won anything, but he'd been in the Premier League. He got Bolton into the UEFA Cup. Steve McLaren won a league. I think he won a League Cup. Got him into the Europa League final. Even Roy Hodgson got to a Europa League final with Fulham. There were things where you could go, okay, this manager's not the greatest, but he's got some achievements or his experience.
Yeah.
Southgate's got none of that. So I don't know, man. Maybe like just a sort of a mid-table-ish. Maybe he could end up going back to Middlesbrough one day or something.
Yeah. So, Carly, sorry, this is where I'm playing devil's advocate now.
Yeah.
So, if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer gets sacked tomorrow from United, what club could he go to?
I think he can go Man United. Sorry, if I get sacked.
Tomorrow.
No, I just wanted to wind both you up and say that Gareth Southgate might be going out.
Do you know what, mate? Right? You may laugh, right, Carly, and you're on a wind-up, but that was the rumour doing the rounds in the summer. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
The summer after the World Cup, like Gareth Southgate is on United's radar.
Yeah.
I was like, mate, tell you what. I'll take up a different sport. I'll start watching the rugby.
You have to change the channel.
Oh, God. So that's what I'm playing at. So, but for me, England at the moment, I can't see England winning anything with Gareth Southgate there. England attacking wise, great. Defensively, shambles defensively. Gareth, to me again, Grealish should be starting every single game for England as well.
Yeah.
I didn't like the way as well he handled the whole Foden and Greenwood thing. I didn't like that at all. And I know I'm a United fan, I'm going to be biased, but I felt he handled it really badly. He threw Greenwood. Greenwood shouldn't have been doing a press conference for starters, answering questions about Harry Maguire and Mickey Noss when he was 18-year-old lad making his debut, and you're putting him in front of the press, letting him ask questions about what Harry Maguire's been doing on his holiday and fighting with coppers. Like, are you mad? And then, so that was a bad decision. Then when they got caught with the girls in the room, right, he chucks them out of the squad, but then he exacerbates it by not letting him in the next squad.
Yeah.
Again, saying, they need to learn a lesson. They've learned a lesson. The whole country's been on the case. The press have hammered him, and then you're carrying it on, and it's time to move on. And then to sort of, make it even a little bit worse, in my opinion, other people get caught doing all sorts of stuff they shouldn't be doing, other England players, and if he gives them...
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a United fan, and I know that there's a lot of ifs and buts with the Harry Maguire thing. Harry Maguire gets arrested for fighting with policemen. He doesn't get chucked out of the England squad. You had the other England players that caught going to a party. They don't get chucked out of the squad. These two lads who maybe knew, they should have known better, maybe need an arm around them. Listen, you've let yourself down there. Don't do that again. You're in the England team now. You've got to abide by these rules. And then you move on. But I thought he handled it really badly.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. I think it was almost one rule for one and one for another. It was tough.
Exactly.
I can imagine their decisions aren't easy to make, but you got to try and guide the players in the best way you can and set the standards, I suppose, so that everybody knows exactly what levels are expected from them. So I agree with that point there. I really do. Before we move into the games, I want to say thank you for all the comments coming in. Keep them coming. It's fantastic. We're loving all the comments coming in. I'll start reading a few more as we're going through and things like that. But it's been brilliant so far. So keep them comments coming. Make sure you're liking. Make sure you're subscribing. We want to keep you up to date with all the content that's coming out. So keep helping us grow so we can keep giving you more and more information. But it's been fantastic so far. Thank you for all the support. And of course, another shout out to Moss Bros, who are our sponsors. 15% off starts from the 2nd of December. Go and get yourself a nice new shirt or someone a Christmas present, a nice suit, something like that. Jay, I know you must have a few good suits.
I not since my last court appearance have I had to dust them out, man. So it's been a little while since I wore a suit.
All right, I won't tell you to get one just in case. That'll mean.
Listen, I can always do another one. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's still weddings and christenings, so yeah, I'll have a look.
Brilliant. Well, let's move into the games then. So the first game, Crystal Palace, Newcastle. I think Newcastle have got away with one there because I feel like they kind of nicked that one. What was your thoughts on the game, Errol?
Well, we did a show on Friday, Premier League preview, and I had Crystal Palace to actually win 2-0.
Okay.
Yep, I had it. But the only thing for me is, though, I find it without, say, Zaha, they're nothing.
Yeah.
Batshuayu, I don't know. There's a player there, but I don't know what's going on. And Benteke, I used to love Benteke when he was at Villa. Absolutely thought he's a fantastic player, great athlete. Gone to Crystal Palace, he's just a shadow of the person who he is.
Yeah, he's struggled for a few years now. He's not getting the goals. I mean, I know he does a lot for the team in terms of bringing people into play and things like that, but he doesn't seem to be getting the goals that he was getting at Villa and causing the same problems. Just a question for you, Jay. What do you think? Because Steve Bruce is getting a lot of stick, and I'm not really sure what more he can do. He's on a tight budget there. He's done. I think he's made some fantastic signings for them this season. They're doing reasonably well on the table. What do you think else he can do to kind of get the fans on side?
Probably change his name to Stevos Brusos or something. I think you've nailed it. If you're a Newcastle fan, where did you expect to be this season? Where did you honestly think, with the money you've spent or not spent, that this team was going up? I mean, Rafa Benitez had this team roughly the same place, and everyone was lauding over him and saying what a genius he was. And, Newcastle fans may disagree with me, but I don't think the football was amazing under Rafa Benitez and has gone to the dogs under Steve Bruce. I don't think that's all. I think it's almost, a similar level. And I think part of the problem with Steve Bruce is, he is one of those managers who falls into that category of the Mark Hugheses, the Alan Pardewes, the Tony Pulises. He's had loads of jobs, never really won anything. He's the sort of guy you bring in when things aren't going that great, and then he moves on a couple of seasons later. He's not the type of guy that you go, oh, you know what, we've got Steve Bruce as a manager, now things are going to kick on. But I like Steve Bruce, he's a United legend, and I think he's done really well this season, and I think, we said this last season. I mean, people saying, oh, they'll get relegated, they'll get this and that, and yet Newcastle are a weird team, because last season, they kept winning like 1-0, and like a defender would score, or one of the Longstaff brothers would score if it was against United, or whatever, and you'd be like the top scorers would have like 4 or 5 goals or whatever, but they just spread the goals out throughout the team and managed to just get thereabouts. And he's brought in some players this season, a couple of players. I think Wilton's a great signing for him. And what really shocked me about the Crystal Palace game was Joe Linton getting him in on the action, because I looked at him, I thought, this guy is just a disaster. But I think he had a hand in both goals. He scored one and assisted the other. So, I mean, if he can kick on, and it's a big if, they might have a fighting chance of moving up the table.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there totally. I think that's a good point, and I think Steve Bruce is getting a bit of a harsh treatment at the moment. I think people need to lay off him a bit, for sure.
Legend.
Brighton, Liverpool, a game full of some VAR decisions. I'm not sure. I know Jurgen Klopp wasn't happy with them. They've also got an injury. They also got a couple of injuries they picked up. Milner got injured. So their squad looks like it kind of is dwindling a little bit. What's your thoughts on kind of how firstly, were the VAR decisions right, do you feel, in terms of disallowed goals and also the penalty for Brighton? What's your thoughts on that, Errol?
Oh, where do I start with Liverpool? Do I feel sorry for Liverpool? No, not really.
Yeah, I don't feel sorry for them.
Don't feel sorry for them. Again, decisions made. Okay, so the interpretation of VAR, it depends on different games. It's never consistent VAR. So again, for me, when I look at VAR yesterday in that Liverpool game, to me that's a penalty anyway. That's a penalty. End of.
Yeah.
Then for me with Liverpool, yes, they've got massive injury crisis at the moment, and like we spoke about, VD is like the talisman of Liverpool. But I watched yesterday, Mo Salah, I know he was tested with COVID, but he didn't look happy yesterday at all. Some of the runs he used to do before, down the channels and stuff, he weren't even doing them yesterday. But I've got to give credit to Jota. 12 appearances, 12 goals. Good return.
Fantastic return.
Brighton, again, we spoke about Brighton earlier in the show. Brighton, for me, the way they look, providing they can get a few goals, they play amazing football. They play beautiful football. Graham Potter has done absolute immense at Brighton for the budget. Again, what we spoke about, Steve Bruce he has a less budget than Steve Bruce. But for the football he's playing, can't knock them. To be honest with you, 1-1, fair result.
Yeah, Jay, what's your thoughts on kind of Liverpool situation? And also, I feel like Brighton finally got a little bit of luck they deserved. You know, they've been extremely unlucky this year. You touched on the guy at the goal when everyone was walking back into the changing room. All of a sudden, they've lost the game with a goal that no one realised was going to even happen. I mean, what do you think kind of Brighton need to do more? And also, you know, what's your thoughts in terms of Liverpool and the situation they're potentially finding themselves in with injuries cropping up and things like that?
Yeah, just in terms of Brighton, I think they've got to take the chances. They've got to be more clinical. You're right, they got away with it yesterday because, I mean, was it 2 penalties they had? And the lad Morpie had a day to forget, didn't he? He missed a penalty and then went off injured. But they've got to look at it. You've got to take those chances. We played them, as I mentioned earlier, United. They hit the post, they hit the bar constantly, but that's still a miss. That's not a goal. Yeah. You don't get half a point for hitting the bar. And at this level, no disrespect to Brighton, how many chances are they going to get? You know, you have to take them. Now, one of my favourite players when he was at United, I know I was in the minority here, was Danny Welbeck. I love Danny Welbeck. You know, they need people like him, Mopai, to step up, to weigh in. Like, listen, they're not going to score 20 goals a season. No one's saying that. But if they can get into double figures, then that gives Brighton a chance. Because the whole thing with Graham Potter is, he wasn't just brought in to keep them safe. Chris Hughton kept Brighton safe. Yeah. Brighton decided they want more than just staying in the Premier League. They wanted to play better football, to progress, to move forward. So he's under a little bit of pressure to deliver on that. You know what I mean? Like, finishing 17th and just scraping through isn't going to be progress. So I like Graham Potter. I like what he's doing, and I can see what he's doing, but they've got to be a little bit more clinical. And in terms of Liverpool and the injuries they've got and whatnot, they've got a squad, Liverpool, you know, and it pains me to say it, but the signings they brought in have made a lot of sense. Thiago Alcantara was an amazing signing, like, you know, and as a United fan, I vaguely remember these days when you win the league, what you do is you strengthen, then that's how you stay on top. When you're strong, you keep strengthening. You don't wait until you start falling off and then add good players. And what Liverpool have done is they brought in Alcantara, they brought in Diego Jota, and these are 2 players that arguably, when everyone's fit, could get in the team anyway. Like, if you pick your best 11, Jota gets in it for me, and you know, Thiago, when he's fit, gets in it as well. So that's the sort of, you know, signings that you need to make. They've got a squad. Yes, they're going to miss certain players. We've mentioned Van Dijk already, but I still think they've got enough quality there. And plus, it's almost underrated the whole asset of having won the league. What that's like, having that in your mentality, having that in your dressing room, having that sort of attitude of, like, you know, we've been here. That experience that just sort of kicks in.
Yeah, no, definitely. We've got a comment here from Robert Story. He says Liverpool, too many injuries for Liverpool, starting to take its toll. Jota's been their saviour so far, and I'll tell you what, he's probably quite right there as well. Because Jota's been fantastic for them in terms of the signing and what he's brought to the team. He really,
different style of player, isn't he?
Yeah, he's doing really well there, and I think he's probably surprised a lot of people. I'm not sure Liverpool fans would have been overly wild when they brought him in, but he's definitely stepped up to the plate. That's for sure. That's for sure. So moving on, Man City, Burnley. Burnley obviously going through a very tough time at the moment. Man City do, like, I think in the last, I think the stat is Burnley's the team they've scored the most goals against in like the last 5 seasons or something like that. They've scored more than 4 goals in most games they've played against them, especially at home. And it seemed like another one of those performances yesterday. Do you think that's a performance of old for Man City, or do you think it's just a case of Burnley just weren't quite up to it? What do you think, Jay?
I mean, you're almost wondering whether it's psychological, don't you, Burnley?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you almost feel like they almost go there thinking, hey, tell you what, lads, have you put your bet on 5-0 today or what? Because it's just so frequent. Like, and Burnley aren't one of those teams where Burnley are in town, oh, we're going to batter them. Like, for most teams, Burnley is a tough afternoon, isn't it? You think, cagey game, you know how to defend, they're tight between the lines, the defending numbers, do you know what I mean? They're a physical team, and the forwards, Chris Wood and Ashley Barnes, were always a handful as well. Do you know what I mean? You know you're in for a bit of a rough afternoon, but when it comes to City, it's just like, the gloves are off. It's almost like a training game, and that is a crazy start, that, isn't it? To I think 28-1 on aggregate over the last whatever games you said.
Yes, something like that.
What is going on? I think it might just get into the Reds where as soon as City score, they're looking around going, "Oh, we've got another 4 of these to go before the final whistle." Like, do you know what I mean? That's 1 of 5. So yeah, I'll just put it down. So I just think it's got into the Reds where they're going in the Etihad almost 4-0 down in the Reds already before they've kicked the ball.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just do, because Burnley aren't a bad team. They're not. Sean Dyche isn't an idiot, and they've not got players that down tools. They don't do that. They don't just go, oh, this is it, game over. They fight and they battle for every ball, every point, every decision, the lot. So yeah, I just think maybe something's getting in the Reds where they're going into this game thinking, mate, we've lost this one already. We may as well look forward to the next one.
Yeah, I agree.
Quick one, Carly.
Leeds, moving on. Everton Leeds.
Yeah.
This was a real good performance from Leeds, I thought, and a fantastic result for them. What did you make of the game, Errol?
I backed Leeds to win that game, to be honest with you. The reason being as well, I think Calvert-Lewin is at the moment is carrying Everton. If he doesn't score, it doesn't seem like Everton's going to win anyway. Rodriguez has been injured, so he hasn't he's come in the team, played amazingly, but since injury, coming back, he's not the same player. But Leeds under Bielsa, and I cannot believe there was rumours about 2-3 weeks ago for him to be replaced as Leeds manager.
Yeah,
Leeds this season will upset a lot of teams. They will stay up. They'll finish about 11th, 12th in the league this season, easily.
Here's a question for you, Jay. Do you think if Ole Gunnar was to go, do you think Man United would look at someone like Bielsa, who is completely different, bring something, new to kind of what Man United probably haven't had for a while in terms of ethic, work rate, the physicality of the game? Do you think Man United would look at someone like him as a manager for them?
Maybe someone like him, but not him. I mean, listen, mate, he'd need an armed guard if he thought he could cross the Pennines and leave Leeds and come to United, mate. This isn't like... People don't really know, especially like younger lads. You'll know, like you probably know. Leeds and United, mate. I've been to Ellen Road once, and I said I'm never going back. It was like a war zone. Like, oh my god, I've seen United, abroad everywhere, mate. I was not prepared for the hatred that came out of Leeds fans when we got off that coach. So I don't think Bielsa ever coming to Old Trafford is even remotely an option on either side. I don't think United would try and get him, and I don't think Leeds would let him go. And I don't think the Leeds fans would even allow that. This isn't Eric Cantona 2.0. This ain't happening. But I know what you're getting at, like a tactical guy, a very deep finger experience, been all over the continent, you know what I mean, has his own sort of style and brand and that sort of stuff. And maybe that would be one, because you look at the way United have gone with managers. And listen, I'm not writing Ollie off just yet. I'm a massive Ollie fan, but, it's a decent question. We went with the long-established Premier League manager in David Moyes, disaster. We went with the manager who'd been around for sort of 30 years, won the lot, managed at every single level, won Champions Leagues and titles in Louis van Gaal. Didn't really work. We went with the most successful manager available in Jose Mourinho. Didn't really work. We've gone with the guy that knows United, that's come through United, it's all about United and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So you think, what is the other option now then? What do you go? You've done all these. What's another one? So maybe it is the sort of the unsung hero manager, if that's a thing. The guy that's been knocking around for years and has sort of done well at certain clubs on a shoestring and not really had the big chance. Maybe that's the one. And if that Bielsa fits that bill, then maybe someone like him. But listen, I still believe in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And as I said to you earlier, after today's win against Southampton, title number 21 is surely in the bag.
Yeah, I see you've got a comment there, Errol. apparently you was mocking Liverpool for not beating Leeds in the opening game.
Again, for me, Leeds played fantastic well. I think they deserve a point out of that game. So, yeah,
See,
Leeds will upset a few teams. They will upset a few people. And I think it was not right in saying Leeds played at Anfield as well. So, Leeds at home against Liverpool. Yeah, I'll give Leeds 3 points.
You're getting your haters already, Errol. You're getting your haters already. They're coming.
Yeah, everyone's on.
Brilliant. So, West Brom, Sheffield United. We spoke on Sheffield United when we were talking about kind of the relegation and West Brom. This is a big win for West Brom. How do you feel Sheffield United will react to this, Errol?
Oh, I don't know. Listen to Ian Brewster last week's show. Again, the style of football they play at Sheffield United, I can't see how they're going to get out of this situation they're in now. I can't see how they're doing it, because I think that game yesterday, West Brom versus Sheffield United, I think they had something like nearly 33 chances or something like that to score, both teams, and it was only a 1-0. I look at Vidic and Slaven Vidic, his team, his set up. He's used to the Premier League. He knows the Premier League at West Ham. At the moment, with Wilder, I can't see how. I'm a big fan of him, but I can't see how he's going to turn this around. Honestly, can't. Unless he starts playing a different style of football. Plus, Henderson isn't there this season.
Yeah, it's very true. West Brom, they'll be absolutely over the moon with that result. Puts a tiny bit of space between them and maybe puts a bit more pressure on the teams below them. Fantastic performance from Conor Gallagher, a lad on loan from Chelsea. Very, very good player. Do you feel that this will kickstart West Brom's season, Jay? Do you think this could be something that might push them on?
I've been wary of getting too carried away. It's a big 3 points, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And, yes, hopefully it could. But, I actually ended up watching this game. God knows why. No disrespect to those teams. But, you just end up in front of the telly and the football's on and you think, go on then, why not? And Sheffield United had a lot of chances. I was struggling to remember the lad's name. It's McBurney was the lad I was trying to think of before. Who, he had a lot of chances. Brewster obviously had a couple of chances. And Musa had some chances as well. And that, for me, would worry me a little bit if I was a West Brom fan, because yes, you've got the 3 points, but this wasn't a convincing victory over a struggling team. This was a team that outplayed them for a lot of the game, just couldn't convert the chances. So yes, a win's a win. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking that, but I think West Brom. If I was a West Brom fan, I'd be like a bit cautious about thinking this is it now. We'll kick on. We've turned a corner, because I think that it was a very close game, and they just shaded it really. And I think yes, was it Gallagher who got the goal, but again there was some woeful defending there, especially with the clearance. So I just think West Brom, the next game is the key one. And can you build on this? Can you kick on? Because to be fair to West Brom, when we played them at Old Trafford a few weeks ago, they played well. Was it last week even? They played well, quite dogged. And on another day, they would have got some out of that game. So it's not all doom and gloom. And they've got a win, which is what they needed. But I'd be very cautious before I start thinking, this is it now. They're going to kick on.
Yeah, we got another comment coming in here from Romeo Linville Lloyd Stewart. Fulham and Leeds are going to stay up. Sheffield United and West Brom will head down, and Chelsea is going to win the Premier League, because Liverpool are not stable without Virgil van Dijk. There's a few interesting choices there, I'm going to say.
I just want to... Can we just acknowledge this guy's name, for starters? Romeo Linville Lloyd Stewart, mate. Come on.
I know, I had to make sure I got that right. Very, very nice ring to it.
To be honest with you, Carly is one of our biggest fans. He watches all our show.
Yeah, that's brilliant. It's good to hear them. I'm not sure Fulham. I can't see Fulham staying up. I've got to be honest. I think they're going to struggle. I think Leeds definitely have got a chance for sure. If they can keep getting results, I think they've got a chance. But it'll be interesting to see if I personally don't think Chelsea will win it. I think they're too hot and cold still. And yes, their attacking threat is brilliant. But I still feel like teams will take points off them at times for sure. Definitely. Moving on to the Chelsea Tottenham. I would call that a Mourinho scoreline, to be fair. That sounds like a typical Mourinho game, doesn't it? Just keep them at arm's length. Just keep them chasing. What would you say? What would you say? Do you think that was a Mourinho performance?
Yeah, I mean, 100%, man. Jose's probably got the champagne out after that result. Seriously. He's happier with a 0-0 than he is a 3-0 win. Yeah. He's off his head. But, I mean, Chelsea, as you just mentioned there about the attacking threat they've got and the money they've spent, they're always going to be a threat. And, okay, you're not going to go over the moon about drawing 0-0. But Spurs have had such a good start to this season, and I think that result still leaves them joint top, or I think they're actually top on goal difference. So he's got to be happy with that. And I think it's one of those, where you look at it and you go, you know what, you could have seen that one coming with Jose Mourinho. But I just want it'd be interesting to see psychologically as well how this pans out, because you mentioned there about Chelsea. Have they got? They're very hot and cold. Do those players have a belief they've got a title challenge this season? The Spurs players have that belief. I keep going back to belief and experience and stuff like that, because I think it makes a difference to do. And I think in that dressing room, Jose Mourinho will have that mentality. Don't get me wrong. He will still have that mentality of I'm here to win trophies and we can challenge for the title. The question is, do the players have it? Because they've, I'm going to get pelters from the Spurs fans, but Spurs finished third in a 2-horse race. They did. In 2016, I'm sorry, but they finished third in a 2-horse race. It was between them and Leicester, and somehow they finished third. Do you know what I mean? And how did that even happen? So you have to think, have they got that mentality of, we can win this league? And I think they've every right to believe they can, because they could do. So it'll be interesting to see how it pans out, because those are two teams that potentially could win the league, but I don't really expect either of them to.
Yeah, Errol, do you think Jose won the battle of the mind games with Lampard?
I did, because last season Lampard got one over on him, didn't he? Last season. So for me, like you said, Jay, being a United fan, Jose's popping the corks, having a little bottle of red wine, and celebrating that draw. Watching the game, they didn't create that many chances today, to be honest with you. So 0-0, fair result for me. I still believe and still think Spurs will win the league, though.
Oh, brilliant. Well, moving into our last game, a game that both of you would have, maybe not enjoyed during it, but definitely feel better after it. Man United Southampton 3-2. What did you make of the game, Jay? What did you? Before you go, I've been really impressed with Southampton. I think Hasenhüttl has really kind of turned things around. They play some good football and they look a threat when they go up against teams. Are you pleased to come out of that with the 3 points? You must be.
100%. I think there's one thing this season must have taught us is that, and I know this is a cliche, but it's true very much this season, you can't take anything for granted. These teams, you're looking at Southampton, you're going, oh, whatever. But this is a good Southampton team who've been playing really well, and it was briefly top of the league, and have had some big results this season. So you can't dismiss that. Do you know what I mean? You can't just go, oh, it's only Southampton. What does that even mean, it's only Southampton? They're a good team. Now, United in the first half were terrible. We were. There's no, we didn't take our chances going forward. They were obviously the free kick from Ward-Prowse. I don't think you can do a lot about that, to be fair, but it was a silly foul for Fred to give away. And you're going into that as well, thinking in half time, thinking this could end up, being one of those days. But Ollie got his tactics right, and I thought Cavani made a massive difference. Having that number 9 who's got that poacher's instinct. I like Martial, but there's two things he's not really got in his locker. One is he's not really getting his head on a lot of things, and the second thing is he's not really a poacher. He's not a guy that's always sniffing around the 6-yard box trying to look for those little sort of balls in order to keep knocking one out or whatever. He's not really like that. Where Cavani, that's what he's about. He's about just getting goals by hook or by crook. So it's a massive win for us. I think it gives you that sort of that momentum now. We've had a few wins on the trot, which has been missing this season, and hopefully we can build on it. But going back to what you said about Southampton as well, I like the fact they stuck with their manager. You remember when they got beat off Leicester? Was it 9-0 or whatever it was?
9-0. 9-0.
How easy would it have been for them to sack him? Go, you know what? This is a disaster. It ain't working. But they believed in him because they could see what he was trying to do longer term. Yeah. And I'm a big fan of that because so many chairmen now will manage clubs just sack the manager. Bad results, sack the manager. A few bad results, you near the bottom, sack him. They could see he was building something. And Southampton, you watch him, they play good football, they play good football today, they're fighting for each other, they work well together, they play attractive football, and they've got a couple of players who you think would actually get in a lot of other teams as well. So yeah, I'm a big fan of what they've done, but I'm buzzing with that. It's a good win for the United. Let's not dismiss that. That is a big 3 points for Manchester United.
Errol, you must be over the moon with that as well, being a United fan.
Yeah, well, watched it. First off, I would say the first 5-6 minutes, it seems like the players are up for it, and then Southampton basically got into it. And it's like what Jay said. It's sort of like you said. This Southampton team, you can't take them lightly at all, because they're passionate. They play for the manager, and today watching it, all right, fair enough. De Gea, I would say the second goal couldn't have done much with it. But at the same time, you can't give a free kick away on that part of the box. You should, in training, when you train for the game, you must know, been told not to do it. But for me, 3 points, Cavani, what can we say? It's a different prospect up front for us, really. And again, Jay, I'm a massive Martial fan, huge, absolutely huge fan. And he does get criticised quite a lot compared to other players, because sometimes when you watch him play, he looks lazy, he looks like he's not up for it and things like that. But yeah, Cavani is a different prospect for us. And plus, the money we're giving him a week as well, he has to start. Come on, really? He has to start every game.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Well, as much as I would love to end the show there and round it up, I suppose we should mention Arsenal Wolves, which has finished 2-1, I think.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm an Arsenal fan, so we'll keep this one nice and short, gents. Okay. I've heard a lot of people say they still think Arteta's the right person for the job, and I'd like to think, and I do hope that he is. But I have to be honest, I'm not fully convinced. I'm really not fully convinced. I think that's another game where Arsenal haven't performed. Obviously, they've lost again. I think that's 4 losses on the bounce, maybe now as well. It's disappointing. What do you think Arteta needs to do to get this team really firing? What do you feel they need to do, Errol?
Bring back Ozil. Simple.
I agree.
Simple. Bring back Ozil. I cannot believe, apart from De Bruyne, he's the second best creator in the Premier League when it comes to goals, and you're not playing him at all. Really? It's about, to be honest with you, I look at Arsenal and I look at Thomas Partey, and I think he's a great addition for you guys, for Arsenal and stuff like that. Great player. Aubameyang signed a new contract, non-existent. You rested 8 players in Europa League the other night because you could, and then you lost to Wolves. But you've got to say as well, there was a bad injury clash ahead in that game as well. So the game was stopped for like 13 minutes.
Yeah,
but to be honest with you, is Arteta the right man for you? Give him another 2-year contract, I would say.
Yeah, I bet you would. Jay, what's your thoughts on this before we close up?
I mean, listen, it's easy for me to sit here and laugh and mock Arteta, and the jury's definitely out. But I think you've got to give him time. You know, he won. I mean, I'm an old school fan, and I think trophies matter. And he won one. He won the FA Cup. Let's not dismiss that. You know, people go, it's only the FA Cup. What are you talking about? Do you know what I mean? That's a massive trophy, and to win that in your first season, I think it's fantastic. I was gutted when we didn't get any silverware under Ole, because it's what I want to see. I want to see trophies. I'm not one for having a parade because we finished third. Do you know what I mean? That's not how it's done. You want to win silverware, and he did that. Brought in a lot of players, brought in the likes of Gabriel, the likes of Partey and Willian and 1 or 2 others and whatnot. You've got a lot of young players there. Give him a bit of time. Give him at least till the end of next season. I really would. I think this whole thing of like, if he's not going to by the end of the season, get rid of him. Why? It takes longer than the season sometimes to get your identity on a team. Fergie, and I know people go, well, you're crazy comparing Arteta to Fergie. I'm not. But Fergie took 3 years to get the team playing the way he wanted it, the structure at the club the way he wanted it, the youth coming through the way he wanted them to, and the signings that he wanted, gelling with the others. It took him a few years now. That doesn't really happen in football anymore. You don't really get a few years, but you need at least 2. In all honesty. Yeah. And the one advantage that people like Arteta and Ole, people like that should have is they're respected at the club. The fans know him as their days as a player. So you should give him a little bit of leeway. You should say, you know what, we love this guy. We love what he achieved at the club. We love him as a player. He's already won a bit of silverware. Let's give him a bit of patience. Do you know what I mean? Like, because listen, I saw it from Arsenal fans about Wenger towards the end. Get rid of him. Then Emery, he's got to go. And now already talking about Arteta. Come on, man. I know his record's not good enough this season, but give him a bit of time. Let him have the opportunity to build what he's trying to build. And I think he'll end up all right. Arteta. I do. I think he'll end up. Pains me to say it, but he'll end up doing okay. And I think he'll achieve what Wenger did in his Latin career and get that coveted fourth spot.
The worrying thing is for me, Jay, is that it's almost becoming acceptable for Arsenal to just be okay now. That's the worrying thing for me. I've got a question here from Carl Bartlett. He's asked me what's going on with Arsenal's lack of goal threat, and for me, it is lack of creativity. And Ozil would make such a difference in terms of that. I know loads of things happen behind the scenes, and I understand that management players fall out, whatever it might be, but sometimes I wonder if you have to kind of just find a way to get around all that, because without a doubt he offers quality, and is there a way to find him, get him back in the team? There has to be a way for me. But gents, listen, that was fantastic. I really enjoyed that conversation again. Some fantastic views. Jay, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
To obviously let people know about your socials with Stretford Paddock.
Yeah. If you're a United fan, follow us on Stretford Paddock. Or if you're not a United fan and you just want to give us a bit of abuse, feel free to. We're used to it. And it's been great chatting to you guys. I really enjoyed it. Some great comments as well, man. So, I look forward to seeing you guys grow as well. You've achieved quite a lot in such a short space of time. And it's been good to see.
Thank you very much, Joe. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Together. That was
pleasure as always. Thank you.
Really appreciate that. But before we close out, I'd like to say, obviously, we lost Maradona last week, shall I say? Such a shame, such an amazing player. Our condolences and prayers go out to him. He was the catalyst, wasn't he, for players like Ronaldo and Messi, obviously, of course, the obvious one to go on and shine in the way that they do. I've been watching a few clips of him this week, and it's been unreal what he used to do with a football and the talent that he had. It really has. But yes, moving on. Next week's show, we've got Ian Hutchinson, former non-league footballer, so that'll be fantastic. Don't forget to follow all of our social media pages. Catch up with us. Keep liking, keep subscribing, keep following, and thank you for all the support. We really appreciate it. It's been brilliant. And once again, before we go, just a final thank you to our sponsor, Moss Bros. 2nd of December, go and get your 15%, people, while you can, before we get locked up again for Christmas. Go and get it. Gents, thanks once again. I look forward to seeing you all soon. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.